Yo, there we are. We're all good now. I fixed it. Man, you're gonna laugh at this, but you know the Wi-Fi adapter issue is still there, but my Ethernet connection will always work, but the cable I was using was only allowing like 10 megabits per second. That was the issue. So I plugged in my long ass one, and now it's fine. Oh, Cupid, you got a new funded? You haven't traded yet? Nice, dude. Okay, copy that. I know, horrible dude. So hopefully this will never happen again. You know, jeez, what a nightmare. I got YouTube up on the stream too now. I don't know if you can see your, but now the chat will show up on the stream. All right. Everything's reset. Everything's good. Luckily, I haven't seen a proper trade yet. So I didn't miss out on anything. No FOMO. Yeah, dude, I tried to pull a max too. I had this this long Ethernet cable that I was trying to run from my router or my modem in you know, the other room, and it was like 6 feet short, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's just great, and it's super long too. But anyway, I was like, let me just try. I'm gonna switch out the Ethernet cable from my computer to like I have my Wi-Fi extender mesh router here. Like right next to me, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense that it's going 8 megabits per second. It's right here. If I connect to it via Wi-Fi, I get like 150 or 180. Like, why is it? And I was like, let me just try this long ass cable since I brought it out, and that did the trick. So should have tried that a long time ago. But anyway, we're back. Yeah, senior flip. I'm running, I got 5 here, and then I'm copy trading to another one, so I got 6. I just don't show that one. I don't have a really good way of showing it. And also it's here in my on my stream. I kind of like it clean. So I just show 5 right here, but I do have 6. Cupid, did you get a new funded on Apex or a new funded on Top Step? Apex, copy that, dude. Yeah, my strategy for trading micros, I kind of have a lot of different types of setups, but right now, primarily, I'm focused on using, so if you can see these kind of faint lines here, these are all standard deviations of EWAP. So really what I'm trying to do is find key areas which can either be defined by like what you see here on the screen. This is the value area high. This is the point of control, and this is the value area low. And these are automatically plotted based on the volume profile. And if you're not familiar with volume profile, this just shows you volume by price instead of volume by time. And I kind of talked about that a little bit on the futures funded stream. So what I'm looking for are key levels, and a key level might be a low volume node. Like I'll mark this one out. See how there's low volume right here? This tends to be a magnet for price to come to because there hasn't been a lot of orders that have been transacted here. So if you're, you know, when markets are trying to find efficient areas to transact, these are targets. So you can get order filled here as, you know, an efficient sort of auction. So in any case, so I'm looking for key levels and then I'm looking to verify price action or order flow, to essentially confirm whatever my bias is. And the bias can come from these levels, or it can come from a higher time frame. So higher time frame would be like a 60-minute, 4-hour time frame, or daily. So I'm going to switch to the 60-minute. And let's just take a look at, you know, what's been going on. Obviously, we've been at all-time highs here, so that is going to most of the time take precedence, or I shouldn't say take precedence, but any other analysis can be discounted based on us being at all-time highs, because we're going to have, you know, a draw to move up to higher prices, and people that are short are going to get squeezed out, and that's going to be an acceleration or a catalyst to price. So if we're looking at this 60-minute chart, you know, I'm looking for relative equal highs, relative equal lows. I'm looking for those low volume nodes, which, and when you're looking at candlesticks, these low volume nodes also a lot of times will line up with fair value gaps. Fair value gaps is just the result of a lot of times what a low volume node is. So if you understand, or if you've been kind of studying and you know what fair value gaps are, and you're trying to understand which ones will be impactful, line it up with the volume profile, and that will be your area that you want to focus on, as opposed to just every single fair value gap. In addition to that, I use Fibonacci's. So when we have a large run up, like this run up right here, for key levels, I like to put a Fibonacci on it, and then I'll usually just highlight the area, because I don't like every area being on my chart. But you can see this low volume node lines up pretty well with this 50% Fibonacci. So I'll mark this out, and this will be a low volume node plus you know, Fibonacci, 50% Fibonacci. So this level right here would be a nice target for me, right? So like if price is seeking liquidity, running down to these areas where there's a low volume node and 50% Fibonacci, you know, it's a very easy level for price to target. And in addition to that, you know, I'm always looking at, so if you look on here, I explained this a little bit. Let me get rid of some of the stuff. I'm always looking at this, these large orders on here, and that's what these bubbles are. So my process for analyzing these large bubbles is essentially I want to know where people are trapped. You know, if we have buyers trapped or sellers trapped, and I'm looking for areas where we have potential breakouts of these, let's say a consolidation area, and you can verify that through not only this, but if I put this up, you can see we'll have more sort of detailed analysis that we can do on what's going on with the order flow. And the order flow, you know, really what it's about is finding out where aggressive buyers and where aggressive sellers come into the mix, and then where is price respected based on that volume. So right here, you can see this blue line indicates this is the exact point where within this candle, and these are 1 minute candles here, the exact point within this 1 minute candle where the highest volume was transacted. Now you can see right here that it was on the sell side. So that means that you had, you know, a lot of orders coming through on the bid, aggressive selling. It's like if people are getting out of positions and they're hitting market orders, or if they're aggressively trying to get in by, you know, let's say they're trying to get in the market with market orders as short positions. So analyzing these big orders plus aggressive buying and selling that's happening over here. And then in addition to that, analyzing how price is being accepted or rejected based on these large orders. So for instance, right now we have a little range going on, right? So we got a range, let's say starting, you know, up here and ending, you know, you could put it at the low here. But right now it's like, what am I watching for? I'm watching for, number one, we got this price here, which is the value area low, right? So this tends to be a really good level for us to figure out whether or not price is going to remain within this balance. And this is called balanced, or this is called the, value area, which 70% of volume for this session since midnight has transacted within this area. So this tends to be where price finds balance in this area. So if it goes outside of this balance, what I'm looking for is it seeking balance elsewhere? Like, are we having aggressive sellers that are trying to push this price to lower prices to seek balance down here? And what you'll notice is price balance or bounces from balance to different balance areas to different balance areas. So if we are going down, I would be looking for it to at least test this area to see if it finds balance in here. So if it's not and it goes back into this area, maybe I'll be considering some range trades within this range using these key levels that I have marked out. But if we go seek prices down, I can short, and the target areas I'd be looking at first would be here, and then the higher time frame levels like this one down here. So I know that was probably a little fast, but that's kind of what I'm looking at, price to do and how to take advantage of it in a nutshell. Yeah, and I know that was kind of a quick rundown, but usually when I'm taking trades, I try to explain what I'm looking for, when I'm what area I'm taking the trade, and then what I'm looking for is confirmation. You'll notice I have a lot of my trading, leans on my ability to execute trade management even after I'm in the trade. So you'll notice I have areas that I want to add to the position. And usually once I'm in a position, my goal for the position is how can I add and make this trade? How can I get the most juice out of this squeeze? Like, how can I add without adding additional risk, and potentially, in an ideal scenario, not get stopped out? Because let's say I raise my stop loss as I'm adding. My goal is that if I'm doing that, I'm anticipating that I'm adding at a point and I'm placing my risk at a point where price won't return to it. So an example of that would be, you see these large orders clustered around this value area low. We got large orders clustered around here, and they're big orders. So if we bust through this area, I'm going to make the assumption that these large orders here, these sell orders, are going to start squeezing out, right? And then we also have a large buy order in here. And if we come back up here, let's say we have an additional buy order here, I would then want to add to the position and then place my stop underneath that large buy order that shows up around here. Because what the assumption is that if you have large buyers stepping into the market here, they don't want price revisiting these prices down here. They're going to want to defend price up here. So I guess that's kind of what I'm referring to. If I'm adding to a position, I want to place my stop in an area that gives me the highest probability of being able to increase the profits I get from it while decreasing my risk of being stopped out. And of course, that's going to fail a good amount of times, but that is my goal. All right. I'm going to pull up TradingView so we can look at the daily. Is my chart delayed? Does it look delayed? 25097. I don't think it is. You're at 125. Huh. Let me see. Okay. Okay, cool. Max, you're gonna be my troubleshooting tech support. I got a billion windows open, and if something isn't going right, let me know. All right, so yes, now we're above this value area low. We're back in this range. Back in this range now. You know, I'm gonna be honest. We've had so much action this week. I don't know if we're gonna have a ton of action today. If we should consider sort of consolidation, or you know, compression today, which maybe it happens between, you know, in this area. So we had, you know, you know, pretty big moves overnight, last night, and the night before, and then big moves yesterday. Let's see, what did we, yeah. Got about a 100-point range right here. So right now, if, you know, the thought is that we're going to be kind of bouncing back and forth in this range, you know, taking breakout trades will chop you up. You know, thinking right here, for instance, that we're going to break out to the downside. I'm sure a lot of people got chopped up right here, trying to take continuation moves to the downside. So right now, the goal for me, and yesterday I said kind of the same thing. The goal for me today is to make sure that I'm preserving, you know, my capital. I had a good week. I want to make sure that I'm trading small, being responsible going into the weekend, not blowing up. And I think that's probably a smart move for most people trading today, if we're going to have a consolidation type day. So right now, you know, another thing, you know, I wanted to mention, Senior Flip, Senior Flip, I wanted to mention this as well. So I also have a couple of different setups in mind. So the initial balance breakout setup is something that I've, you know, it has a very high likelihood of happening when you have a breakout of the first hour's worth of range. So if we take the first hour, let's see, where'd we open here? We open here. Now, basically we want to take the high of the range and the low of the range up until 1030. Now, if we have a breakout of either the high or the low, even a tap on either side, there's actually a 70 to 80% chance that we move from that area as a breakout without touching, let's say, the other side of the range. So right now, we're not really expecting this to happen, but if that happens, we know that there is about a 70 to 80% chance that the breakout will continue. If we tap this high, it'll continue going higher. And there's about a 70% chance that you'll retrace about 25% of this range. I know that's a lot of numbers, but essentially if we tap this high, okay, let's not do the breakout yet. Let's say we tap this high, like price moves up here. There's about I believe it's a 70% chance that price will retrace 25% of this range for the open, the initial balance, and then continue moving this way. And this is based on the data that I was looking at on Edgeful, I think was about 6 months worth of data. And so you can go back further, but as you go back further, it starts, we have different market cycles, and this, for this year to date, let's say, starting in March, it'll have that kind of percentage, and that's a lot more indicative of the kind of market that we're in right now versus like 2 years ago. So that's a setup. And then also the 15-minute fair value gap has an incredible, like 80% or above chance that fair value gap will not be mitigated if it happens between 9:30 and 11:30. So those are a couple additional setups I'm looking for as well. I have quite a few kind of setups that I subscribe to, and that's kind of the framework I would say I use. And if I'm taking a trade, I'll do my best to try and explain what the thought process is. But I've been kind of a scalper slash price action trader for quite a while. So some of the trades I'll take, like for instance, if we're breaking out, and let's say this isn't initial balance, if we're breaking out and I start seeing really heavy buying, I might hop in based on this being a momentum play. Like if there's a lot of buying coming into the market and we've been, consolidating for a while, I'm seeing that as a breakout with confirmation with order flow. And essentially, like, my confirmation is we got aggressive buying happening or aggressive selling if it's breaking down. But it's that happening, and then I'm seeing people are about to get bulldozed, or they're getting bulldozed. Like if we see a lot of people short, and I start seeing them getting squeezed out based on order flow and how aggressive the buying is and how aggressive the short covering is, I might hop in that. So I'll do my best to explain what's going on, but just I guess have that in the back of your mind that, like, I have a framework, and then there are setups that will show up based on kind of the guidelines I follow. And this right here, I know I explained these lighter lines are standard deviations off of the VWAP, but this one right here is VWAP. Senior Flip, good question. Yes, I do. And so as I said, there's a high chance that you're going to retrace back into the initial balance, 25%. But as we saw, when was it, yesterday or the day before, it didn't actually come back 25% back into the range. It was maybe like 15% into the range. But yes, good question. That's the idea. So your entry, you have a high probability of getting a good entry off that initial balance breakout at the 25% fib retracement level. Also, another stat that kind of aligns with that initial balance breakout is if you look at the first hour's worth of price action, if that's green or if that's red, there is, I want to say between 70 and 80%, and I can actually pull it up to confirm it, but 70 or 80% chance that the day will end the same direction. So for this first hour, we got a drive down, and what we would expect based on, probability and statistics is that by the end of the day, we will end red. And I think that might be closer to 80% chance. And what determines the quantity of micros I enter, or do you initially just enter with one or two? It kind of depends on what I'm trying to accomplish that day. And, I'm going to, full transparency. Sometimes I trade larger size on evals, like if I'm trading an evaluation account, because I tend to be a little bit less patient with those. If I'm giving advice though, if you're trading evaluations, the best thing you can do is trade them as if you're trading funded accounts, because it instills the right habits. But what will potentially change the amount that I'm trading, the amount of micros I'm trading taking on a trade, the setup, how good I think it is. For instance, if we're breaking out up here, it looks really strong. But you know, we're not at the greatest level. I could anticipate it pulling back. Maybe I'll get in with like 1 or 2 up here, and then at that 25% retracement, I'll add to it. And so again, another thing that I think that you have to be pretty seasoned to try and add on. I add on losing trades and I add on winning trades, but my losing trades aren't the goal is to not add on losing trades that are going to continue to lose, but if I'm anticipating an additional pullback, for instance. So I might get in because this might just go and rip without me. But then if I see a good pullback area, I will anticipate that. So I will reduce the amount I'll initially go in with that thought in mind that I'm going to add to it if it comes back down to my ideal pullback area, if that makes sense. Took another loss on a stupid trade mentally and a loop, done trading for the day. Damn, Adam. Sorry to hear that, brother. This price action is, you know, it's not great. If you caught this move, you know, right at the open, just like yesterday. I mean, yesterday was this is a real nice one. I didn't catch that. I caught, you know, some of the stuff in between, but here, this is a decent, you know, rundown. Could have, you know, if I wasn't dealing with technical issues, this was probably what I was looking for, is a move down, just because we ran up overnight. But yeah, so far we're getting kind of wishy-washy price action. We're kind of meandering, maybe grinding up just a little bit. This isn't terrible. It's just low volume. You can tell that this is low volume and just not a ton of intention going on right now in the market. I feel like a boxer who has his head down, just swinging. Man, that's what happens when you're, unfortunately, like, you know, the position you're in right now. It tends to happen, man. You're taking swings because you're trying to be actively doing something about fixing your drawdown problem. You know what I mean? Like, I think us as ambitious humans tend to do that. You know, if you have a problem, especially if you're somebody who likes to fix problems, and that's totally me, and I know that it's you too. You know, when you're in drawdown and you're trying to fix it, it's like you want to be active, you want to be doing something, so it can, you know, have the ability to put you into trades that you normally wouldn't take. Yeah. Right now, you can see we kind of got a battle going on between buyers and sellers. Might anticipate a bounce off of this VWAP to go to the downside, because you can see we've got some buying happening, and right here is kind of where you have to zoom in a little bit, right? And I'll zoom in on my delta bars as well to see how is price reacting up here. We got a battle going on, but like what's actually happening. And you know, here you can see these highlighted numbers up here. There's a lot of buying happening. There's a lot of aggressive buying happening at the top end of these candles. And we're not getting a ton of movement out of it, which means there could be a seller up here, you know, that's absorbing all of these buy orders. A seller up here, seller up here. Now, I'm not going to try and predict the future and say that we're going to, you know, bounce from this area and go down, you know, 100% definitively. But, you know, what I'm trying to do is look at the evidence we have. We've got a lot of buying happening up here. You notice that these light blue bars are at the top of most of these bars down here on this one. So this up until this bar, this is telling me we have lots of aggressive buying happening at the top of these bars, which, you know, if if you're looking at it objectively, this could either lead to a breakout of this area, or if there's a strong enough seller here, it could end up reversing price to come back down. So I'm going to switch to the 1 minute. And then senior flip, you know, another thing that I'm always looking for is like when we get reactions, like let's say that we are getting a bunch of absorption up here. When we get a reaction out of this, you know, do we get an expansion candle down, meaning like it creates like a fair value gap as it expands down? And then are we closing under some key levels? You know, the key levels I'm going to be watching here, obviously these lows right here, and then these strong buy orders. If we are able to get under these buy orders, that means that we might have a potential sell off. So because we're struggling up here, I'm going to go ahead and I did not mean to put on 10. I'm going to close that. Maybe it would have worked, but it's not smart to do that. So I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to go in. I'm going to go in with 2. I'm going to wait for this candle. It's looking like it's feeling heavy. So I'm going to take a bounce. Essentially, we got this point of control, and we also have this VWAP right here. So we're struggling up here to make higher highs. We've got some strong buy orders up at the top that we haven't been able to break through. So what I'm anticipating is that this price up here is going to hold, and we have a potential, you know, large seller up here that's keeping price down. That's what this trade is based on. Now I'll go in with 2 and could potentially add down here. I don't anticipate adding up here because if price moves up above here, probably I would say 135-ish above here, because we got a fair value gap up here. If price moves up here, I'm out of the trade. I'm not going to add up here because that tells me we might be going to the top of this range. So I'm going to keep risk small, make sure my stops are placed in good areas, give myself a lot of room, because you can see there's a lot of wicks happening here, and we might shoot up and then come back down, and I don't want to be stopped out of that. But I think if we go above this 135 area, it might leave a little room, you know, maybe here, 138. If we come all the way up here, I'm anticipating that I'm wrong on this analysis, and this is moving up to at least, you know, one of these areas up here that I'm looking at, like 150 or 162-ish. So see how this works out. Would like to see this kind of drop pretty quickly. Could anticipate, I see this as kind of a strong area that it might, you know, have some trouble at. We also got 25-100, which is going to be a strong sort of psychological even number as well. So it could just be a quick scalp or something, but you can see we don't have a ton of opportunities in here. It's kind of going back and forth, kind of grindy. The only other sort of setup I could imagine this doing is same setup, different area. But, you know, let's say it breaks through here, we might get some sellers waiting up here to push price down. And if it does that, I don't know, I guess my stop is covering me there, so I'll just hold. Again, though, you know, we're getting some selling happening, but you can see it's not super strong coming out of this area. Like right here, like if we might just kind of anticipate that it does this grindy thing that it was doing yesterday. So if we look yesterday, right? So here's the kind of the same setup that I was looking at yesterday, right? We came down, we grind up, we have some trouble up here, and then we push price lower. But eventually you see that it just kind of grinds up And this is a really kind of tough price action to get in unless you're in at the bottom and you're taking a reversal trade and you're able to hold it. So right now we can see prices moving in my direction. And now I'm just thinking, how much does this trade actually have? You know, based on this price action, maybe not a whole lot. You know, maybe it comes down to this stupid trend line and just reverses on me. But I think what I'm willing to do is hold it, and if it does make one additional high, hopefully my stop will be high enough to where one of these levels will, like this level right here, would potentially reject it, or just taking out this high would be enough for it to be, you know, sort of the extension of this. Essentially, this is a bear flag, right? Come down, coming back up. It looks like we're right at that 50% Fibonacci as well. We've got a lot of levels right here. That's one of the reasons I like it, like this to go short. So if I put a fib on this, and I probably should have done this, but I'm always looking for it, you know, in my head. Notice how we're like right at this 50% Fibonacci right here, which is obviously a really good level for, you know, this dealing range, this move that we have here. 50% level is a great level to just be watching for reactions at. Now we have this big buy that happened right here. What I'm looking for is, does this have follow-up in the price? Is price respecting this big buy order, or was it absorbed down here? And if price starts falling out of it, then we're looking for, you know, price to potentially come down to these lower areas. But if it bounces from this area, and this would be a potential reason for me to get out of this position, I'm analyzing it right now to see how strong price is reacting from that buy. It doesn't look super strong. It looks like we might continue following. So I'm going to hold on. But if we got a strong reaction out of that big buy order, I probably would have gotten out. And you can see on here, look, that was a pretty massive buy order, to be honest. 526 right here. So you can see right here, that's correlating with this. It's a pretty large order, but we can see that like price hasn't really shot up from there yet. And right now, because of this, where my price is, if it does shoot up from here, now what I'm thinking is, am I willing to wait for price to come all the way back up here, take me out? I'm really not. So I'm going to protect my position with basically a break-even stop up here, because this move started to happen for me, but it was kind of abruptly, potentially interrupted by this buy order. And if it comes back up, it's like, okay, well, now the move might not be valid because we have this big ass buyer here that could be supporting higher prices. So when that sort of thing happens, and I'm about to get maybe when a surprise happens, you know, in the position I'm in, and something like that happens, I don't want to keep the same risk on for the position because it's changed. So now I'm break even. This is a risk-free trade. If it comes back to hit me, no big deal. But if we get below this big buyer, I can anticipate that, you know, we're going lower. Where lower? My first area of interest would be this 25,086, because that's the value area low, which again, remember, that's the lower boundary of where 70% of the volume has been transacted on today. So it's a very key level that most professional traders have their eye on. This it would be that, or the low of the day would also be good. Looks like it's going to take me out, and that's okay, right? So the trade was, you know, taking a bounce off of these levels that are key levels, and as it came down here, we had a big buyer step in and say, nah, this isn't going down. We're gonna keep price going up for one reason or another. You know, this might be, you know, this could potentially be somebody getting out of a big short position from up here. So for one reason or another, price, you know, came down here. There's a big buyer that stepped in, and then we had a reaction off of it. So we don't know if this buyer is going to continue to push price up, or if it was an aggressive, let me get out of this short position here. it doesn't, it makes more sense that this is support rather than an exit. But in any case, it did change the trajectory of this trade. Thanks, Adam. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I had a good week. Last few weeks have been nice. I've been really controlled. I'm trying to just make sure that I don't have those. You know, you guys have seen me when I blow up, and it's not good because you ruin, 3-4 days worth of progress in one day, and it's tough, and it's something I constantly have to work on. And really, it's like when I have my morning shower sessions, I have to tell myself what I'm going to do, and sometimes I'm like groggy in the morning, and I can't like even think about what am I trying to accomplish today. But like in the shower this morning, I was like, I'm trading small, I'm preserving capital. I'm not gonna try and hit home runs. I'm gonna try and hit a couple base hits and be happy with my progress for the week. So sometimes just speaking it, or thinking it, actively, consciously, is really helpful before you start the day. So you go into the day with a game plan. So now, we're in the same position as we were earlier, but now we have evidence that there's, potential strong support down in this area. So this trade, I don't want to take this trade now to go short. Right now I'm looking, okay, is there going to be a big seller that steps in up here? And if so, now we have kind of a consolidation area that I can watch where we don't necessarily take a trade until we see something show up that tells us, okay, well, now the sellers are in control, or now the buyers are in control. Right now, this is my assumption that I'm making. We have passive sellers up here and aggressive buyers down here. So if you have aggressive buyers down here, and we were seeing aggression up here on the buy side as well, but you notice how we're stopping at this area. These passive sellers have, obviously some strength in defense. They're not playing offense yet. They're playing defense up here, and their defense is very strong. Right now, what we want to see is, do we have the ability to push through this big buy order with aggressive selling? And if we do, maybe there could be a short trade that happens, targeting the low down here, but targeting this right here, there's not enough meat on the bones because our stop needs to go up here. I take that back. If we push through this area, one of the beautiful things about seeing large orders is then we can place our stop above this big bubble right here. For safety and for the potential wick out that could happen if we drop below these prices, we would probably give it a little bit of breathing room. But the idea is, once you have verifiable strength entering the market, it gives you the confidence to be able to enter and place your stops, kind of like if you got if you had Andre the Giant, it's a bad example because he's dead, but Andre the Giant standing in front of you while you're moving forward, like you're protected by this big guy. Or in this case, since it's a buy order, it's like you're protected because once price comes up here, it will provide resistance, because a large buyer here with price dropping and coming back up will be getting out of their position. So right now you can see we've got, this kind of downward move here is showing strength on the sell side. But again, we're right at this area. We just hit this important fair value gap, I would say, because we've, we created it, we inverted it, and now we're tapping into it. So we got balanced price action in here, and we've got a strong area that we're bouncing off of. Yeah. Andre the Giant. Um, sorry, Senior Flip. I'm just seeing your question here. Those volume bubbles are very, yes, they are extremely useful. I love them. I used to use Bookmap, but Bookmap is very CPU intensive. So now I'm using them on NinjaTrader. Yes, exactly. So yeah, you're asking, do they work more or less like Bookmap bubbles? Exactly, like Bookmap bubbles. So another thing you can do also, and I wish I could do this on my current chart, but I'm going to pull up the trading view chart here. Another thing you can do, so right now we got a consolidation. We got a consolidation happening, and one of the things you can do is take this consolidation range and put a fixed range volume profile on it, which can help you do the same thing, you know, that we're looking at volume profile on the larger picture. This is just a tighter picture of what's going on in this range. And then what you're doing, and I'm gonna have to look for this. What I really wanna know is, where does the anomaly happen? Because within this range, you know, like, think about it this way, like, whenever we're trading ranges, we're always, you know, you're always trying to figure out, where is it going to break out to, or how is it going to break out? Is it going to break out, you know, on the low side or the high side? That's, you know, always what we're trying to do. We're either trying to anticipate it or trying to gain evidence of that. And so when you have a tight range like this, what you can actually end up seeing, and this will show right now the, you know, where the highest amount of volume is transacted. What we want to see is where, like, which direction is this in? So what I really want to see is, I want to see a volume profile based on delta, and delta is going to tell us where's the highest amount of strong buys or strong sells that come in. And right now, it's like, you can visually see what's going on here with buys and sells, but we want delta. We want to see essentially like 1 point. And so if that 1 point is, we want to see, is this level strong buys or strong sells? Because that can give us an indication of which direction it's going to break out. So let's say that we got a lot of absorption happening down here, and then you immediately see a strong buy, a really strong buy order, like, you know, double way more than double. Let's say like 10 times the volume of everywhere else in the buy direction. If we can see it happening right here after a rejection down here, we can anticipate that it's going to break out to the upside. So that's you know, just another way to look at how volume can help you when you're in these kind of consolidations. Yeah, it's an add-on for NinjaTrader. It's called the Order Flow Plus package, and it's $59 per month. Or if you have a live account with them, it's free. So you can just, if you just sign up for a live account and just fund it with a little bit of money, you'll get it for free, and you don't have to pay a monthly fee for it. So right now, we're up in that area I wanted to watch, right up here. We tapped into it, and this was an area I was thinking, you know, it could potentially tap in, and then we could go to the bottom of this range or lower. But I'm not. We got to wait for something to happen to get us in the trade, to, you know, confirm that actually is going to happen, and it's not just going to start running from here. I do like that we had this buy order. Even these buy orders, or these small ones, are significant. that we had buying at the top of this candle, rejection up here. Now the only thing we're missing right now is we don't have follow-up with aggressive selling, and we really haven't seen much aggressive selling happening yet. So we probably want to wait to see if we can get some aggressive selling. You can see a lot of this is buy, and this kind of looks similar to what was happening yesterday, where it's just kind of a really grindy price action up. So, when you get context clues like that, it's good to at least see, to make sure you have extra confluence if you're trying to go against, what this is looking like, which is, it's grinding up. All right, let's see what happens here. Pushing higher. These buys are getting accepted. Let's take a look at what's going on in these candles. So you can see we got strong buying, strong selling here. So this is a potential battle zone right here. Strong selling at the top of this candle, strong buying at the top of this candle. So we got some strength in both directions happening, and we're in this gap, and we anticipated this, that at least this was going to be a point of interest for us. So now let's analyze what happens. If we start falling out of this area, I might be interested in a potential sell. Kind of like it. Let's see. We got VWAP right here. So I think I want to see it break through VWAP. Got some support here. Strong. Yeah, that's that buy order right here. So you can see it's not ready yet. Might have like a little micro consolidation happening in here because we got a battle zone, or this could just be pushing price higher. So it's got to be patient. Network again? Can you not see something? What's going on? Senior Flip, what do you mean network? The stream went down? Oh, okay. Copy that. Mine still says connected over here, but hopefully it's not mine. Cause I got this Ethernet cable plugged in now, and I thought everything was good. So let's hope it holds up. Okay, so we're obviously seeing some resistance up top here. Now the key, one key sort of component of this to understand is, we're trying to get a sense of where the market wants to go and where it's having trouble. I'm always thinking in my head, okay, just because we're having trouble getting through this area doesn't mean we're not going to get through it, because if you have a stubborn enough price and hard enough momentum, we're going to push through it just like this did right here. And you could see, you know, with the aggressive buying happening, it was kind of relentless. It wasn't stopping. So now we're past the 50%, you know, Fibonacci level for this move up. This to me, and this is just kind of, you know, speculation, and so take it with a grain of salt. This to me, what it's doing looks very reminiscent of yesterday, where we're grinding. We're grinding higher, you know, where we have these levels that could be potential resistance. We're busting through it. And, you know, this big buyer right here, I mean, look at that. That's a monster buyer right there. That's a whale. Kind of prevented what could have happened down here, right? We could have retraced this whole move, gone to these lows, tapped these lows, and then started grinding up. But to me, this buyer was very key and sort of shifting the narrative for me. Before, I was thinking, man, this looks good. Looks like we got a lot of, you know, passive sellers up here. And then this monster shows up and says, nah, we're not moving down. And then kind of shifted the narrative to me to where this looked more like a breakout than anything. Or sorry, in hindsight, this looks more like a breakout than anything. So, you know, the next thing we're trying to do is figure out where can we get in the market, where's the market going, and how can we make some money off of that move. And right now it's seeming, you know, like we're going to continue grinding up until, you know, we hit, you know, something of relevance, extreme relevance on this top side that will prevent price from going up. And kind of like, it's tough because when this price action is happening, my sort of natural inclination is to think, well, all this move happened already. Now I got to start thinking short. That's not always the case, you know, that you need to be thinking short when you have moves like this, because yeah, you can catch pullback moves short. You know, if we were to short it, probably like pretty soon, we can probably catch a pullback. I would say it's probably due for a pullback here pretty soon, maybe down to this point of control, or maybe down to this VWAP. But if you were to take, for instance, let's use this previous price action, or actually my trade as an example. You know, I took it right here trying to go down, right? And I was able to basically break even. Now, if you reverse that, instead, we were looking long at this move, and I know it's hindsight, but the point I'm trying to illustrate is that, like, if you're trying to catch the short when it's going long, then you're going to catch pullback moves that might be able to get break even. But if you're actually looking in these key areas and you pick the right direction, now you have all this move that you could still be holding on to. So just, you know, some thoughts on how you're trying to logically enter this market and make money. If you're on the right side of things, it's a hell of a lot easier. So like kind of going back to that natural inclination that I have, it's like, man, I want to short this because it's been going long. Sometimes it can be right, and sometimes it's the wrong way to be thinking about it. And you know, it's kind of that mentality that's all been ingrained in our heads that you want to buy low and sell high. Well, sometimes you have to buy high and sell higher because you're seeing that being supported. And you know, looking at this whole picture right here, we see that we had sellers in the market. Now we got buyers in the market. So if you're looking to take a short, I think wow, look at that. Look at that. That was right after I said we're due for a pullback either to this area or this area. And they did everybody dirty. You see, everybody that got in here, they did everybody dirty. So, you know, if I was not like flapping my gums, I could have put a buy position down here or down here, and this would have been a great entry. I like these kind of entries, you know, where it dumps really quickly, because to me, it's a clear sort of indication that it's a sweep or a liquidity grab. Now, this is a good indication that we're going higher to me. So, you know, I might be willing to put 2 on here. Maybe coming back to this gap. Regarding the bubbles, can you determine the number of contracts to be displayed? Yes, you sure can. So if you double click or just go into your indicators, if you go to the trade detector right here, minimum volume for marker, you can change that to whatever. I have it set to 60. You kind of want to see enough. You want to see enough to, like, not just see the monsters. You want to see some of the other, you know, sizes, but you don't want it to be so littered on the chart that it doesn't do anything for you. All right, I'm taking a buy here. I've just got 2 on. Now, like, for me, the real safe stop is below this low. Potential add down here. Now, this trade, I would say, is right now price is going against me. This looks like a potential reversal. I want to see it respect this gap here and not close below it, is what I want to see, because this was a gap entry. If it closes below this gap, I'm probably going to lose some faith in this trade, because I don't have order flow on my side yet. I had this area that I was watching, and I had this big sweep that happened that I liked. Right now, we just closed under this gap. I'm feeling a little bit iffy about remaining in this trade, because this is all looking very bearish to me. So right now, I'm questioning whether or not I want to stay in this trade. If we come up and I keep seeing wicks on the top side, I'm probably going to get out. If this can get above this gap and close above this gap, I will then discount this close that was below it and consider holding on to it. But right now, what I'm watching for is every time it pops up, are we getting you know, sellers pushing it down? And it looks like we are. But if we can reach above this level, we have this gap then to kind of take over. But at least we have a little bit of evidence that's on our side to say this trade is valid. Okay, I like this candle here. What's going on there? Essentially, we had a little micro pullback that got pushed up. So it's looking decent now for a hold. This was a pretty aggressive move down, but it was kind of like a follow-up to this aggressive move. And it hit about 50% of this long wick and stopped, which I'm a fan of. If it started moving down more than that, I was definitely going to start questioning this position. Now, obviously, we have, you know, some resistance happening up here. This is not, you know, super ideal that we had this pullback happen up here. I wanted to see this kind of launch off. So still feeling iffy about this. This could potentially, you know, go for lower prices is what I'm looking at. It looks like it's still kind of shaking stuff out before it is, you know, definitively moving in a direction. And unfortunately, I'm kind of caught right in the middle of it. I was hoping I was going to be caught on the bottom of it. I'm going to put my stop below VWAP. So now I'm going to be looking at, just so you guys see, or, know what I'm kind of focusing on. Kind of focusing right here. I want to see, can I gain some evidence here? Right now, it looks like we are, kind of battling it out, within this this gap. And I want to see a side push through and start winning. Obviously, the buy side. No, when you start seeing price drop from these high volume areas and respect them, I don't like that, because that could be a sign that that market makers are doing their job and controlling price in whatever direction they want. But it might mean that you're on the wrong side if it's respecting it on the top. Like if it's not pushing above these prices that are highlighted here, and it continues going lower, where the highest volume happens. That means that it's like you got these walls on the top side that aren't going to allow price to break out of it. And right now I'm not seeing that just yet, but if I start seeing that, then it could be a good indication I'm on the wrong side of this trade. All these wicks on the top are, not ideal for this trade, especially keeping price within this gap. So this trade might be a dud. I liked this wick down, pop back up, but I don't know. Looking like this trade does not have the juice to continue. We also have these sell orders here that are getting follow through and no buying happening. So I might be against the grain here. Let's see how this candle closes, and if this candle closes, bearish and outside of this gap, I might consider it closing it early if it hasn't in my stop. Close bearish. I'm feeling like this trade is not going to be a winner. I'm going to go ahead and close it. Oh, well, I actually lucked out because it looks like my copy trader was not active. Let me see. Connection, copy trade, inactive for any connection. All right, looks like we're good now. Let's see. What is happening here? Oh, you're heading out, man. Okay. Cool, Adam. Have a great weekend, man. Hope you make some progress on what your challenges are now. But have a great weekend. Feel free to hit me up on Discord, man. You bet. Okay, so it looks like this trade could potentially still work out. We just closed above this bubble, above this area. Looks like I was kind of taking this trade thinking that we were gonna, because of this kind of aggressive move that happened down. A lot of times when you have an aggressive move like that down, you can expect price to explode in the opposite direction after that. But you can see prices, this is not good, price action. So I took a stab at it and then got caught up in this consolidation that's happening. And, sometimes that's going to happen. What is my Discord? Oh, yeah, let me share it with you. So, I'm just going to be honest about this price action. We're not, I'm not getting good reads off it. To me, this kind of, when it's doing this kind of stuff, it's like what I'm kind of anticipating is that it's moving up directionally, but it's tough to trade. It's like, you can get in on these dips and you can hold it, but if you're holding it, look what you have to hold through, right? It's a lot of like emotional volatility that happens within your position, where it's like, if you're gonna trade these kind of moves, it's like, sometimes it's better to like if you were able to get this bottom or something, holding it and not looking at the screen is almost better than trying to manage the position, because we're getting a lot of noise. And so that being said, maybe it's going to be helpful if we change to like the 5-minute candle. But even still, you can see, look at these ugly wicks. I don't know. Maybe would consider a long coming back down to this price area. If we can see that's defended, this price area would be great because we got this large buyer here. But other than that, like the overall move looks long, but at least the last 3 candles in this 5-minute area, this all looks bearish. So we got conflicting information, or at least conflicting reads for me. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the, I'm going to take a look at this higher time frame, and the higher time frame looks a little confused, but this 4 hour here, this 4 hour, I mean, the way I would be looking at this is like, I'd be looking at this as a short. The daily still looks, so you can see that we got conflicting directional biases on these different time frames. Weekly obviously looks bullish, but we might expect that end of the week pullback from profit takers. The daily looks bearish based on these 3 candle structures, but we also tapped this high right here and we came back into the range. So that, to me, like overall structure bullish, but this individual candle bearish. This looks like we had this 4 hour candle looks like we tapped the high of the previous 4 hour, reversed, came down, and now this looks like a potential expansion candle to continue going down. I don't know. I think there's a lot of conflict. So I think we could grind up, but I think there's probably potentially going to be a lot of kind of back and forth price action. Okay, coming back down to this area, this is where I was saying could be a potential long down here. I think I'm gonna try it with 3. I'm gonna put my stop below here for a continuation move, potentially up here. So again, I'm basing this off of, this is where we rejected last time with strength. So I was basing this long move off of coming back down here, seeing price reject at this same area. Even though all this is bearish, this is what gives me, this gives me priority. Now, I also have to take under consideration, remember that 70% or 70 to 80, I think it's 80% chance on the idea that we're going to close bearish today based on this first hourly price action. This up here is well, it was at least a temporary barrier that we had. At least, you know, it could be the barrier, but this right here, these buy orders that got stuffed, potential issue. Hoping that we can start seeing some, you know, confirmation that this is going to continue moving up, and I can hold this for a little bit, and with the understanding that I might have to hold through some back and forth, but eventually get a move up to, you know, potentially just come up to the top of this range. Yep, no problem, senior flip. Maxi still out there? You surviving? Taking trades? Okay, so ideal scenario is we close above this 25,117 and we stay above it. That's the ideal scenario. And then really would like to see some aggressive buying happening instead of just price being able to melt through. I want to see somebody step in. You know, usually when I'm trading order flow like this, I want to see that as a confirmation. This right here was a kind of defensive position that I took, not an offensive position that I took. Defensive meaning that, like, we had this big buyer here, and obviously it's providing you know, some trouble for price to move against it. But now I want to see follow up. I want to see that this is not just a wall to be, you know, messed with continuously. I want to see a wall and then support coming through. You know, like, here's the wall, now where's the army? You know, let's see some follow up here. So we did close above this 25,117. I like that. I want to see some follow through now. We got all these red candles coming down here, and normally, you know, you'd be looking at this and saying that that's extremely bearish. You know, we could be just reversing right here, and that obviously that's still a possibility. We could be, if I was looking at this price action only without this order here, I would be thinking this looks pretty ripe for reversal. You know, maybe a pullback to VWAP here and then continuation to the downside. But you know, I'm really basing a lot of this off of this previous order flow, breaking out of this level and potentially using this value area high as support. Let's see. And these also, you know, I've I'm factoring in that these kind of grind moves up have been really ugly. And then, you know, you might be able to get a deeper pullback entry, which was kind of what this was. Hey, what's up, buddy? Hey. Deeper pullback entry, you know, which is what this was. You might be able to get that, and that this entry I'm in right now is kind of an ideal entry if we continue going up, because I was able to get a deeper pullback. And like when you look at like yesterday, for instance, what's up, buddy? You good boy. Let me go back here. You know, like these deeper pullback, and see how ugly this is? Very, very ugly. But if you're able to get one of these deeper pullbacks, it's like that. Those are the only entries really you want on this, because it gets messy up in here. But deeper pullback, you get it, and it starts moving in your direction. Those are the only good entries, you know, I see in price action like this. So hopefully this is not reversing, and we can hold this for a little bit. See it's struggling a little bit, but you know, looking at that previous, you know, the previous day and the way it was moving, you can see there's a lot of mess and noise on the way up. So kind of taking that into consideration with this entry that I took here, that we might just grind up, and this might be super ugly, but hopefully, you know, it's a decent position and not just a continuation to go short. What's up, bud? You guys want to say hi to Coda? What's up, bud? Oh, hi. You're a good boy. You want to go outside? Yeah. Okay. Come on. Yeah, here's a boy. Oh, you guys didn't even see Coda because I have it on the wrong part of the chart, or wrong scene. You're back. What did you miss? Not much, man. I've been analyzing this choppy price action, and essentially what I've been saying is that it looks very similar to like what we had going on yesterday. You know, where it's a very, you know, we have a drop, and then it's a very messy grind up. But what I was saying is, if you can catch, you know, one of these deeper pullbacks as it's grinding up, those are really the only good entries I see, because otherwise it gets so clustered and messy. But like if you get this pullback or this pullback or this pullback as an entry, it can be a good entry that you can kind of hold on to through all this mess. So what I was basically saying is that that's what it looks like is happening right now. Obviously I could be wrong, but it looks, you know, kind of like we did the drop, and now we have this kind of grind up that we're doing with messy pullbacks, and it looks like it might be reversing, but it's not. And I'm using this huge buy order. This means there's a big buyer in the market. I'm using this as my anchor, essentially, you know, of sort of protection. So this was kind of a defensive entry that I had here. It was coming down. It looks very bearish. Busts through here and comes down to this buy area, and then, you know, was defended. So this is kind of a defensive sort of trade that I'm taking based on this buy order being down here for support, based on yesterday doing this kind of grindy price action, and then based on having some levels, you know, around here. Like we have the value area high, we got VWAP up here. We did dip below VWAP, but my anticipation was that this was kind of the retest of these areas to be defended, to keep moving up. So hopefully we caught a decent one that we can hold on to. It's not gonna just, you know, run sideways. Well, you can see, I mean, there's a lot. It's pretty messy. Pretty messy. But, you know, I think that's actually, it's not just yesterday. It's, this kind of stuff has been happening I don't know, I guess for the past few days, I should say. Where like, okay, so, I was looking at this as a potential, you know, setup, long setup after we had this big wick down and push back up. And I was like, okay, well, this is going to go long now. But it then violated the low of that wick, violated this area. And that's the kind of like tricky price action we've been seeing lately. Obviously we got a lot at stake right now, all-time highs, a lot of people, getting shaken out of positions. So it's tough because you see something like this and you're like, holy shit, this is about to go short. I'm down here. But then, scrolling back, you see we have a big buyer in the market here. So I was making the assumption it was going to be protected here. So like the things you're seeing in the chart have to be discounted when you have evidence like this, which is tough. If you don't have this evidence, this is going to be hard to trade. I mean, it's still hard to trade. Yeah. My daily target is around 200. Yeah, so if I hit 200, then that means I hit 1,000 or basically 1,200 in my daily goal. I'll base when I stop, trading. I'll base that on what I'm seeing in the market and whether or not I feel like it's going to be worth it for me to keep going. I mean, there are days where I trade till the end of the day, but if I'm starting to see like volume die down and like prices moving sideways, that's usually a good reason for me to stop, because number one, it's an easy way to eat up your profits if you're trading shitty price action. But yeah, my daily goal for me is like 200 in each account is pretty good for me. But if the market is like, really moving or something like that, I can, make that judgment call to potentially keep trading. So yesterday we basically went up the whole, almost the whole down move, and really only started seeing weakness here at the end of the day, right? So let's just, for the sake of comparison, see, what did that go back up to? Almost 75%. Probably getting close to that pretty soon. Yeah. Now, obviously, each day is different, but you can see that there are some similarities between what's happening here. This is kind of a smaller version of this. You got a big drop down, retracement down. It looks like this started earlier. Big drop down, retracement. Really though, what I notice in the similarities is like, yeah, you can see patterns repeat themselves and they'll change, they'll shift and change, and they won't be exactly, but really what I'm kind of paying attention to is how clean the price action is, and does it have sort of directional intention? And after a drop like this, it does. It's messy and but the directional intention is long. Same thing with yesterday and I believe the previous day. So let's actually go back to the day before. Yeah, so here, I mean, this was a little more wild, but after this drop, you can see the directional intention is long. And that's, to be expected at all-time highs. We got a nice push up. after a push up like that, sometimes it's worth it to either take some profit or take it all off the table. So now what I want to look for is, are we having follow up here? And we are. We got some buy volume, and we have price following up with that volume, that buy volume. It's not being rejected after that volume. Big buy right here. Let's see what happens. Keep pushing up. Would like to see this target get hit, but if we, what I'll probably start doing is clamping my position. So right now, I don't want to see it come back down here. I would actually not like to see it come back and break these lows. So I will probably put my stop down here. I'm going to give it just a little bit of room to shake this out. We might have some aggressive profit taking potentially, but really I don't want to see it come back down here after a move like that. And because of the messy price action, you see these kind of, look at the range that happens like in these legs. These down legs, especially if I move back to yesterday, can be pretty aggressive. So like, am I willing to hold through that? I would prefer not to. What I would like to see is this to squeeze up even more, and not for this to be like, okay, it's time to take a break and pull back. If it gets below, yeah, I'm probably going to close it here. It might, you know, continue to push up, but based on the sort of cadence of the market right now, I could see this pulling back pretty heavily. I'm always down to re-enter if I start seeing the right things, but as you can see, this was like one of the longest extensions that we've had, you know, for the day, except for this down move. So when I see this being like one of the longest extensions of the day, it just reminds me that, okay, well, this probably has a high likelihood of pulling back before continuing. So I have, you know, two options. One, I can hold through this and potentially lose the profit I just gained, or I can take my profit out and then wait for another pullback and potentially get in again. So that's kind of what I'm deciding to do. But the prop firm you use, does not have consistency? It has a, no, actually it doesn't. It only in the eval stage it has consistency. And the futures desk does not have consistency either. After the eval stage. Yo, thanks Max. Appreciate that, brother. So right now, you see, we do not have aggressive selling happening. So I might expect a small pullback here, but then an aggressive pushback up is kind of what I'm thinking. There's that small pullback. I think this is probably going to get aggressive to the upside. I think we're going to push up. And if we do see a pullback, you know, coming back down to either VWAP or in this gap area, I might consider taking it long. But kind of what this is looking like to me, at least right now, is that it's going to do the small pullback and then we might have an explosion up, potentially to, you know, this target. So yeah, Senior Flip, I'm probably guessing that you were asking that question about my goal, my daily goal, you know, of $1,000, and that $1,000 is really kind of it's a good gauge for me, I think, to, you know, to hit that. You know, I feel confident about being able to hit that without like trading huge. So you see, I mean, like I hit that with three micros on this move. And that to me, like, is, you know, what was that I got there? 112. So that was like what, 40, probably like 30 points in a trade. And that to me is like, that's realistic. It's realistic to me to be able to hit without like having to size up or anything like that. And Max says daily goal is to trade good, not about the money. Yeah, so my goal of $1,000 is basically based off of I can hit that by not having to trade poorly. And so if the market offers more and I can trade well and go for more, I'll go for more. But my $1,000 goal is like, you know, it's something I can shoot for, something that I can keep track of. And then for, you know, you, the viewers, it gives you, you know, a gauge on how I'm doing as it relates to my expectations. Because, you know, for my expectations are to trade well, to follow my rules and all that. And it's tough to be able to kind of display that, you know, that's what I'm trying to shoot for. Way easier for viewers to see money. With Apex 200 a day, with 5 accounts, is 5K a week. It's nice. 200 a day. Yeah. Or any other prop firm. Yep. Yeah, exactly. 5K a week is, you know, it's great, you know, to be able to hit that. And I've hit it. This will be, I think, my 3rd week in a row of hitting 5K or more. Actually, last week I did 8K last week and 8K, I think, or 7,800 the previous week, and I've more than double. I'm up 12K this week, just because I had some couple really good days this week. But yeah, man, it's honestly, like, it makes it so much simpler if you don't think about the money. And you don't think about, like, when you're on evals or funded or whatever, you're not putting a timeline on anything, because putting timelines on yourself can make you tilt. And I know that from experience. You have 3 with Lucid Trading, but I'm still working on reaching the buffer zone. Cool. What kind of progress have you made in them? So right now, it's looking like we might have a potential. Well, actually, that just got picked up pretty quickly. This might be breaking out here soon. But again, I still have the same idea right now. It's that if we get a nice pullback, I'll probably take a long entry. Right now, you could potentially scalp this if you wanted to go long, going very small up here with tight risk. You might get a nice pop move out of it. I'm not willing to take it right here just yet. Nice, man. That's great. Nice work, dude. Make sure you hold on to that profit. And you know, with the when I'm trading evals, you know, like I said, sometimes I get more aggressive. Like I'm not recommending that. I recommend if you're trading evaluation accounts, trying to hit your either payouts, either yeah. If you're trading an eval, the best thing you can do is essentially trade your evals exactly like you trade your funded. So are you saying right now you have 3 with Lucid trading, trying to get to the buffer zone? So you have 3 funded ones, and the buffer zone is the minimum balance you need to have to take a payout? This is looking really strong. So looking like we're gonna hit this level at the bare minimum, potentially pop this area. Three funded, need to reach 2100. Nice, dude. That's what's up. The you know, I was talking about this on the futures desk. The I kind of look at the having 3 stages of the account, and it can simplify it if you don't look at it this way. But for me personally, it's like the challenges I've gone through are like, first, it's like you go through an eval and you got to get to the funded stage. Then you get to the funded stage and you got to get to your buffer zone. And then once you get to the buffer zone, you got to make the decision to take the payout or create more cushion so that when you take the payout, it doesn't impact your trading and impact your drawdown. But at the same time, it's like you want to, if you made that money, you want to put it in your pocket, and you don't want to put on more risk than you have to by holding it in that account more and trading it more. So, like, and also, with prop firms, you got all these different rules for payouts. Can you verify this for me? Does Lucid Trading have 5 days of trading you have to hit, or more or less? Actually, let me take off all these drawings. You can kind of see that these pullbacks we have keep increasing because the pullbacks are essentially, as the expansions get wider, these pullbacks get wider too. So if we're expecting a pullback, we might expect it to come down to this area as opposed to just this area right here. And this would be a safer entry down here too, or at least higher risk to reward. So if it comes down to this area and where VWAP is, might be looking for a long down here. Okay, copy that. There was a new, I think it was maybe Funded Next or something, that has a 3-day payout, and I was actually really kind of excited to trade with Take Profit Trader, but I had a funded account, and they basically just took the funded account away because I had one micro contract on that it was an accident that was left on over the weekend because I had essentially, like, let's say I had a position size of 3 in a long position and I got stopped out but I only had 2 contracts on that stop loss. So one was left on and I didn't realize it. And so it was on over the weekend, and apparently that's against the rules, and they took my funded account away. I was pretty pissed off about that. So I just, and they have daily payouts, which I like. So does the futures desk, but Take Profit Trader, I don't know. I just wasn't a huge fan of how they handled that. I was like, yo, I had one micro on, and it was a mistake. And you guys took the funded account away because of that. It was kind of shitty. Yep, I definitely like that aspect of it, but wasn't a fan of the customer service, that's for sure. All right, so we could have a big wick out that happens down here. If it happens, I'm gonna be ready. Might even just put a limit order down there. Yeah, I know, man. It's one of the rules that you can't have open positions over the weekend. But it's like, hey, like if I'm a customer of yours, a good customer of yours, it's like, tell me that's against the rules. Tell me it's against the rules, and close the trade, and then give me a warning or some stupid shit. You know, like don't take my funded account away. That's really annoying. Wonder if that pullback that it just did was all it was going to give us. It didn't reach this level I was looking for, unfortunately. But let's see. Maybe it's got a little more to go. One more push down. How long did it take me? It took a while, man. I had experience trading stocks, small cap stocks, and for that I was funding my own accounts, and so I was able to make money doing that. But that took me a long time. It took me a long time on the prop side. So if you recall, like my story goes, like I started off trading small caps, aside from some smaller sort of investments that I made, and then after kind of getting beat up, I was kind of up and down on small stocks. I would say never consistently profitable. It was more just swings up and swings down, and then moved to more swing trading, and the swing trading I was able to be profitable on. So I don't know, that probably took me about a year or so before I was like able to really kind of get the hang of it and start making profits. And then, COVID kind of took that account out basically. And then when I started, looking back into futures, cause I had a previous period of my life where I was trading futures, and that I was never consistently profitable trading futures. And then I got back into it, trading futures, trading props, and probably a year and a half took me. It was honestly like, it's a tough road, especially when you're like, if you're in a position where you're really trying to make it happen and you try and rush it, and you're trying to, basically shorten the timeline that it takes to be profitable, that's when I struggled the most, where I would have these big, profitable days, but would very quickly diminish. So yeah, I would say about, trading full time, about a year and a half before I was able to get a payout. Yo, what's up, Cupid? What's going on, man? The rushing stage, yep. Got off at 11. Didn't see anything. Yeah, man, this has been kind of brutal. Grind up. You know, I think you got to be extremely selective on days like today. Tired of wasting money. Yeah, man. The sooner the better you realize that it's a waste of money if you're trying to rush the process. The fastest way to become successful in trading is to take it slow, one day at a time. Don't place pressure on yourself. Like, you know, we're talking about this $100,000 a day. If I really, you know, took that super seriously, like it could potentially put pressure on me. It could make me blow my account, right? But yeah, the slower you go, man, like it's just all about steady progress, being selective, you know, about the trades you're taking. You know, you want to think about the trades you're taking. Like the goal is like the setups you're taking should obviously meet all your criteria, but it's like when you take that trade, it should be something you're proud of. Yeah, Max started in February, but since July, he was rushing this shit. No success at all. It's tough. It's like, yeah, and Max is, you know, I've known Max since I've been streaming or at least active on X, and he's improved quite a bit on, you know, not blowing up and not oversizing, and you know, taking care of problems like that is probably the number one priority for everybody that's struggling with trading. Is you know, making sure you have control of your emotions and your process, and not oversizing, and not over trading. And it's a difficult thing, but you know, the way that I think that everybody should look at it is that every day you should think about not only like how, you know, how hard could he hit the ball, how many home runs can he hit. Like, stop thinking that way and start thinking about like how many, like, can you hit a base hit while following your rules, and can you suck less? Can you suck less? Can you take less shitty trades that day? You know? And I've always been somebody that, you know, like I like scalping. I like the high octane stuff. I like getting, you know, big gains really quickly. Oh, damn. Thanks, babe. The shit. Thank you. Yeah, you guys want to see? She made a Caesar salad with a bunch of chicken. It's nice. Yeah. But yeah, like, you know, go into each day with the goal of sucking less and taking less shitty trades. And yeah, Cupid. So you got a funded account on Apex, and you didn't trade today. That's some nice discipline, dude. Price action is not phenomenal today. It looks very similar to the past couple days, and past couple days have been just kind of grindy. If we get stuffed up here, I'm looking for it to pull back to this area or lower. So I'm gonna be in Ohio Monday and Tuesday. I think I'm gonna have a little desk set up. So I may try and take some trades and stream, but I'm going to be very selective. Very cautious. Trading on a laptop is new to me. You know, like right now. You know, I got my desk and everything set up just the way I like it. Might just have some strict rules. Mm-hmm. I trade full time. Max better not. Don't like those Ohio stories. Yeah, I don't either. I would eventually love to be able to, you know, do this. And I mean, one of the beautiful things about trading is that you can do it from anywhere, as long as you have a nice setup. Eventually, what I really want to do is I want to, for my like mobile setup, my remote setup, I want to have my laptop and then I want to have XR glasses. So basically I plug those into the laptop and then it looks like I have, you know, 3 screens instead of just trading on a little laptop. This kind of price action is tough to trade because it usually I like to get a read on momentum, and when it's moving like a snail, it's tough to read momentum. Looking for a quick flush down, up into this gap, or down into this gap. I want it to kind of come down quickly and then pop back up. What job did I have? So I used to have my my own restaurant and nightclub. So it was here in Denver. It was you know, super you know, popular, hot nightclub. So it was the hospitality industry and required me to manage a lot of people and to, you know, I was partying quite a bit, which was, that's not great, you know, drinking a bunch of alcohol on the weekends and, you know, staying up super late. It's, you know, it's great for socializing, but not great for productivity. So anyway, yeah, my, you know, I've been in hospitality for a while, so are basically running, you know, nightclubs. But well, I'll have to pull up some pictures if I can, once this trade gets set in motion. I can pull up some pictures, but, you know, the nightclub we had was, we had tapas, so small plates. So we did like Latin inspired small plates. So we had like a really good happy hour. We did nightlife, you know, bottle service. We had live entertainment, live instrumentation, people playing the drums, DJs. It was a lot of fun. So we just got in this trade. this stop now, where do I want to place this stop? I think under this candle wick down here, which is when the initiation of this move started. So if this drops down to here or here, I might think about an add. If we start seeing strong buying happening up here, I might think about an add. So right now my mind is on how do I make more profit in this move without potentially risking more. So I'm going to be watching this wick right here as potential resistance, 25,141. So getting above this area is going to be, you know, a sign that it's starting to look better for this trade. More confirmation while I'm in the trade. So I'm watching this level right here. So unfortunately, you know, kind of the way the market's moving, it's looking like we're not going to get this immediate like push up. Looks like we might meander a little bit. So might need to like hang tight until I add or anything like that. Move stop to break even. But, you know, those are the two things going on in my mind right now is I'd like to get, you know, to break even as soon as it makes sense. And I'd like to add as soon as it makes sense. I don't see it just yet. Getting up above this 21 or sorry 21 25 145, closing above this will probably be an add and then break even for me. Okay, we just closed above that level. I think I'm going to add. You see that impacted my price quite a bit. So I can't break even yet. I'm going to put it at the low of this candle, my stop. Hopefully we don't come back down to this VWAP. having a little trouble up here. 25,145. And you see we have some okay, like aggressive buying up here without follow through. So, you know, that's the next thing that I really want to see is I want to see some follow through when we have aggressive buying. We haven't had super aggressive buying. It's just been once we reach the top of these candles, you can see these highlighted numbers on the right side. Pretty consistent. Right now, it's just looking like there's not a ton of demand. And, you know, sometimes when I'm seeing that, like this, either not a lot of demand or we have some consistent strong buying at the top. This isn't huge or anything, but when you have consistent strong buying and price not following up, sometimes I just like, for the sake of, you know, controlling my risk, I'll go break even. If it stops me out, then I'll re-enter down here or whatever again to just see if I can get a better entry since I added to this already. Looks like we might have a push up. Let's see. Most people out there will say, you know, you want to give, you know, your trades quite a bit of room to play out. And my theory on that and my style is I agree with that for the most part. But as the trade starts playing out, if you can find opportunities to minimize your risk, that's the best way to do it, at least for me. Like give your trades a little bit of room to play out, but then as you start getting evidence that it's either working or not working, see if you can strategically, you know, manage your risk better than when you started the trade. Oh, good, Max. Glad to help. This bubble was super helpful for me. So this is looking like it could be trouble. But, you know, again, it's like some of the noise has to be discounted because of, you know, this grindy price action. But it does look like we might have some potential drama up here that could prevent us from moving up, at least right this second. All right, coming back down to my stop. Let's see what we get here. Yeah, senior flip. I just traded NQ. So the only thing the one thing I'm not liking about what's going on right now, obviously this looks like it could be reversing, but we got this big buy order up here, right? And we are below it, and we're not seeing strength come back in. And this, the way it's looking at least, is it looks like it's got some business down here or something. It's pushing pretty hard. To me, right now, I guess it kind of looks like where I originally had my stop was probably the proper area, but it's okay. I'm willing to keep my stop here, and if I get stopped out, just continue analyzing. Oh, yeah, for sure, man. For GC, for sure. We'll check it out. Yeah, as soon as I'm done eating, I'll pull it up and check it out. Looks like it can take me out right here. Probably one to re-enter. One more try on it. So we'll go below this candle like I originally had. Could be falling to this low here. Might be on the wrong side. We just inverted all this and created this expansion candle down, and I'm not seeing it pick back up. So this might be the wrong trade. But as we were talking about earlier, this kind of really, wide wicking price action it's tough because if you're really strict on your levels, this will violate levels. This kind of price action. Yeah, right now it's looking heavy. Hmm. Let's see. I'd like to see it recover pretty quickly and not just keep this selling pressure down here. Especially since we closed through this. Well, we haven't closed through this gap yet, but looks like we might. And close under VWAP. So I'm gonna give it a couple minutes here, but could close it early. A lot of times when you see this continued selling like this, it doesn't end until somebody's really in pain. Like this to me looks like it's going to come down and stop out a lot of people before it reverses, even if, you know, or maybe it doesn't reverse. It either hits a wall or it shoots through. This feels like trading after hours. Starting to see some aggression. Now, ideally, you see right here, this is the strongest sell volume right here. Ideally, this is going to provide, you know, right here. Nope, push through it. The goal, or, you know, what would be ideal, and this is looking like it might continue short. So if this, I wanted this level to hold. It did not hold, so it might, we might be going for lower prices. All of this from a like a candlestick perspective looks weak. No bubbles. Now let's see, does it get stuck on this area right here? Okay. No follow through really. Did get stuck there. It looks like it wants to push through and come back down here. I mean, looking at it, you know, a little bit zoomed out. I mean, this definitely looks like it could be rolling over here. So if this ends up taking me out, probably gonna stop trying to long this. Like we sure are spending a lot of time down at the lower end of this range here. You can see the candle just continues to want to push down. Push down, push down. Be fantastic if that was the extent of it. Doesn't look like it is. See how aggressively it's following up with that. It wicked, came back up, and then immediately came back down. All right. It's still got business down here. Watch this area. Aggressive buying. My stop was like 2 point. I think my stop was basically like a point off. Let's see. This could just be a pullback to continue short. I'm gonna watch for a second, see if we can get some volume confirmation before I enter. You notice how the price continued to go down. It was continued selling pressure, and what I was saying was it looks like this is the kind of price action that is not going to stop until it gets violent. Did you see how it kind of wicked down really quickly and it was violent? That's kind of what I was hoping it was going to do, that one wick right before my stop, but obviously not. Aggressive buying happening and follow through on the price. I might be willing to take one more stab at it. Let's see if we can get some volume come in. Yo, what's up, Maddie? Trying to figure out the platform. You're talking about Twitch? Give me one sec, guys. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Hopefully we get a little bit more action here. All right. So, where are we? Looks like this could potentially be rolling over. Went back and tested this area. You can see we had a strong reaction out of this area. Stopped me out by maybe 2 points, unfortunately, but we don't know if it's going to follow up now. If it was a strong enough reaction down here to send price higher just yet. We don't have any follow-up. We're not closing above this 25,121 just yet. I'd like to see some aggression come in. And even at that, we could come up to this level right here, this area, and potentially continue moving short. I'm willing to take a stab here. Stop below the low of this candle. Let's see if we can push through this. Pushing through this gap is the objective. So we had this, you guys can't see. We had this aggressive buying happening up here, and it looked like it was following through because we got above this level, but now it's looking like it's rejecting. So do I need to flip? I might need to. It looks like there's still unfinished business down here. Like we're gonna go retest this and potentially, break through. If sellers are in control, this buyer might get taken out. It's looking like that's what price wants to do. This needs to go here. Give this buyer a chance to defend this area. Let's see. The thought process on going against this kind of price action over here that looks bearish is that we have a lot of kind of ugly price action happening as we grind up, and that's been repeating over the past few days. But we'll see. This could be a turning point, and we could go, test these lows or test this the low a day. We might be done with this bullish grind. We're remaining under this point of control right now. Haven't had a meaningful push up and close above it. So normally, if I'm looking at price alone, just the candlesticks alone, this
this to me would like, it would look short, unfortunately, for my position. Mehdi, how are you doing today? You taking any trades? Man, it's like when you see this kind of stuff happening, it like hard buying up here and then immediately fall back underneath the hard buying. It's not instilling confidence yet. This, you know, the entry I had was essentially the same idea that I've been having, that we're going to bounce up and keep going higher, but I thought we had confirmation because we had a lot of buying happening up there, but it just didn't have follow through. And now you can see that it looks again like we got unfinished business down here. And my stop looks like it's going to get hit again. There it is. And, you know, the buy, you know, do I take a chance on doing another buy here? We're at this big buyer that previously was holding the market up, but now it looks like sellers are in control. Having some absorption down here. Let's see if we can push through. Yeah, looks like sellers are in control. And looks like we're going all the way down here, at least. That's what it looks like, at least, to me. So let's wait. Let's wait and see if we can figure out when this is going to be exhausted. Okay, Senior Flip. See you next week, man. Have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. Man, I wonder if this is gonna bust through this area and potentially continue going short. Looks like sellers are really in control right now. I don't anticipate this stopping in any of these areas, so might even consider a short. Oh, thanks, babe. I think so, yeah. Thanks, baby. All right. Looks like he's going to push through all this area. I don't know if we're going to get... Might anticipate a bounce from down here, but right now we're just not... You know, sellers are taking over, and we got to wait for something to happen. Oh, nice, Mehdi. It might also be smoother streaming because I have basically I have a direct line, the Ethernet cable that actually works now. All right, this is dumping. This is dumping. I'm a little sad. I'm not in this short, but it wasn't. This wasn't my my narrative. So we took the low of the day. Took the low of the day. Here's the low of yesterday. Are we going for that? Let's look at 25,000. We reaching for 25,000. Let's see. Might have a big pullback coming up soon. I was thinking about taking a scalp from this third deviation, this VWAP deviation, to bounce, but kind of it's a quick one. You gotta be quick with the entry. Let's switch to the 1 minute now that we have a little bit of action. So here's where, you know, you can get some really quick scalps in. Unfortunately, like I missed all of this because I was seeing sellers take control, but I just didn't have a good gauge on an area to take a trade. But this would have been a really nice quick 50 points. There are bubbles right here. And the bubbles show up when they're individual large orders. Looks like we're having some absorption down here. I might potentially bounce from this area right here. I'm gonna take a stab. On a trade like this, I will go break even very quickly. Hopefully we just get it a little bit more move in my direction. I'll go break even. Hopefully it can hold this area. Because we're going against this quick move down, I'll go break even quickly. So if it comes back down, I'm covered, but we're not getting enough of it. It might take me out. It looks, you know, similar to what I was doing up here. It looks like it's got more business down here, unfortunately. So taking a bounce counter trend, you know, sometimes you got to take a couple stabs at it. So here, if we can start pushing up and close over this candle here, I'll go break even. Probably right here. Just to make sure that, like, if it comes back down, it's not going to tag me out at a loss. So I was seeing absorption down here off these red candles, rejection, basically meaning that these sell orders were not taking price anywhere. And we have some hidden buyers down here going on. All right, so now, you know, we're up at this big sell order. Now we want to see, does this have the strength to push through it and start squeezing this out? Or is this just a pullback to continue and then go break this level down here? Any pullbacks we see, like any price going down, we want to see it quickly picked up if it's going to move in our direction. If we continue to have trouble right here, I might close the position completely. Right now, I'll put my stop under that low. So notice, like when I'm going against the trend like this, I want to be really, really protective of the profits I get, because this could very sharply, you know, turn and then come back for my price. And I don't want that after I've got whatever 30 points in profit here. If this wants to mess around down here, I'm not a part of it. You know, what I really wanted to take was a reversal trade, not a consolidation trade. So if this starts consolidating, I want to be out. I want this move to be quick and fruitful. And if it's not, then I get out and I protect my profits. You know, so like right now, we're having a little bit of trouble right here getting above this and staying above it. And if this indeed comes back down to this fair value gap for a, you know, essentially rebalancing or a sort of dip acquisition, I don't want to be a part of it. I'll get stopped out and profit, and that's okay. Now, if we start seeing, you know, good signs that this is it is indeed gonna continue up, and that was like an early stop out, then I can always take another position on it with new evidence. So like that right there, this getting stuffed right here. Now I'll put my stop underneath this, and if it continues to go, great. If it doesn't, I'll take a small stop out, and that's okay. So this was, you know, a rejection. We tried to push, you know, we had a large seller come here, step in. Also, this seller volume is impacting my decisions as well. We're getting above this level right here. So anticipating that we're going to have some squeezing. And again, what I'm going to try and do is use these orders as my risk management as well. Now we got some big buyers stepping in, not follow through immediately, but let's see. Looking like it's going to come down to this gap, unfortunately. These are, you know, pretty fast moving, you know, trades. So you kind of gotta get in. And I was hoping I could hold this as a long sort of reversal trade. But this sort of hesitation right here can sometimes prevent me from taking advantage of the big move, because if it comes back down and hits me out and I got a tight stop, that's kind of all I'm willing to risk on it, because it could aggressively come down and really take, you know, go down and take me out hard. And I'm not about that. Not about that life. So I play these reversal trades, you know, I try and be safe about it. When you get aggressive moves down, now we're getting some follow-up, you know, this buying. So now that we have that buying happening, now I can, you know, I'll move my stop up just a little bit. I'll keep inching it up where I believe that it will be protected, and basically at invalidation points. So if it starts slamming down, right, and goes through this big order, through this big order, through these orders, then I'm on the wrong side of this trade. But if it stays, you know, my thought process in managing this trade is, as I see big orders come into the market to protect me, like this is Andre the Giant right here, right? I want to be behind Andre the Giant. Okay, so this 25088 is going to be a potential inflection point, you know, a point that we could see resistance. If we start pushing right through it, phenomenal, you know. 100 is the next level I'll be watching right here. And then this point of control might be kind of the final push that I close the trade at, potentially. Can I break even now? That's a really good question. I don't like break even just yet. If we had a big, let's say, buyer step in right here, I would certainly want to break even. I mean, so sometimes you take break even off of levels, and sometimes you take break even off of principal. And right now, out of principal, I would say you could break even. We got a gap right here that could potentially protect us. If we're looking at, let's look at the volume profile. Looks to be right around here. I would say I'll probably consider going break even out of principal here in a second. this area that we were watching, 25,088, you know, we see price stopping here, but to me, this looks like we're doing a small pullback and we're going to push through. If we do end up coming back down to this area, maybe an add and break even. Yeah, so here's what I'll do, Max. You know, under this big order, I think makes sense. Now we're about to tap into this gap. We're doing a pullback, and you know, ideal scenario is we don't close under 50% of this gap. That's kind of what I want to see if this trade is going to continue to look good to me. So look at 50% of that gap. I don't want to see it close under 50% of the gap. And if it does, you know, might consider just closing it early. Ideal scenario, come back down here, you know, kind of at the top of this range and then shoot back up. So that was not ideal, but it looks like we're still struggling. Getting picked up now, so I don't know. It looks like it could go either way at this point. You know, it's kind of struggling to push up from this area, which means this could be a pullback to continue short. Could be. So yeah, it's looking like now, I don't know. It's coming against me. I'm going to put this at break even. It's probably going to stop me. Unfortunately, it looks like this was a big pullback to continue short. I'm going to take a stab here. So that was one of those situations where we had decent profit. But I was definitely thinking that was going to be a long, a bigger reversal than it was. And again, like, you know, this might have faked me out. Like, it might continue going long now. And my original stop, right, was right below this order. Or, sorry, down here. That could have been the right move instead of break even, right? So this violated this area. Normally, if this violates this area, I don't like to be in the trade. But this violated it, and, you know, it might continue going long now. And unfortunately, you know, the trade I took might have got sort of messed up by, you know, this violation happening and it not being, you know, a real, you know, indication that it's moving short. So let's give it one more shot. I'll keep my stop down here and see if we can get some potential upside move. Getting stopped out break even is something you got to get used to, especially if you trade like this where you're being very protective. It can seem like it's frustrating, and sometimes it is. But you know, if you're protecting your profits, you know, and you're trying to be very protective, sometimes it's necessary. Now we're getting some mixed signals. I thought this was potentially just kind of a fake out, but I don't know. This price action might just not be right for this trade. I'll hold exactly what I got going on right here, with this maybe moving. Let's keep everything the same right now. See, it's looking like sellers might be in control again.